Okay, hello and welcome to today's webinar. What we're talking about today is clearing. Just so that you're aware, if you've not attended a webinar before, we can't see you and we can't hear you. But if you do want to ask us a question, please can you do that via the question box? Please just type in the question and we'll quite happily answer that for you. This is an opportunity for you to ask us anything about clearing and we'll answer those questions live during this time. If for any reason we don't get round to answering your question, you can also submit any questions via our email address, which is inquiries@abingdon-witney.ac.uk, and you can do that at any time. So as I say, what we're talking about today is clearing, and just a little bit of a background about what actually clearing is, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with it. So clearing is the process that universities and colleges use to fill any places that we've still got on our courses. So you can use clearing if, for example, you haven't received any offers from universities or college to do a degree level programme, if you haven't met any of the conditions of the offers that you did receive, if you've paid for the multiple choice application fee, for example, if you've applied via Ucas and you've paid the £25, you can also apply for additional programmes via clearing via Ucas. If you've declined any firm places that you already had in Ucas track, you can also apply for various courses in clearing. And also if you haven't applied anywhere at all yet, but you've just decided that you want to do a degree level course, then you can apply via clearing and do a course with us that way. So I'd like to introduce you to our other panel member. So just to introduce you to Zoe Prophet. So hi Zoe.
Hi Beck, hi, thank you very much.
Thank you for attending. So could you give us a bit of a background about what your particular team does in relation to clearing and what your role is, please?
Sure, so yeah, I'm Zoe and I'm the admissions coordinator here at Abingdon and Witney College. And very often when you make first contact with the college, we'll be the first people that you're in touch with. So that's regardless of what course you're applying for or interested in, you'll likely come through to the admissions team. So at the moment, a lot of our contact is by phone. So if you've got any queries about clearing or anything to do with, college courses, you can give us a call, and that phone number is 01235 216 400. And we're also responding to emails at the moment because we're not able to do face-to-face consultations and things like that. So for clearing inquiries, we've got a dedicated email address that we're responding to, and that email is clearing.inquiries@abingdon-witney.ac.uk. And so whether you contact us by email or by phone, we'll just need to take some details from you, and we will then pass those on to the tutor so that they can give you a call, talk a little bit more about the course, answer any queries that you've got, and then sort of go from there, and they'll be able to let you know whether you've got a place on the course or not. So if you are offered a place on one of our courses, some of the information we'll need from you, if you've already applied through Ucas, you would just need to have your Ucas ID available when you come through to us, and that just makes things a little bit easier to match up your information and progress your offer and your application. And then the tutor will send you a link that you'll need to complete. So it's just an electronic form that's called a record of prior achievement. And once you've completed that, then that will help us again to progress that, and you'll receive any updates about the college, course content, and when to start and things like that. If you are in Ucas, then you will need to go back to your Ucas record and add us as a clearing choice. So there's a couple of options, but I think make sure if you have applied in Ucas previously, just make sure you've got your Ucas ID so that we can match you up with the system.
Lovely, thank you. So what sort of courses have we got on offer at the moment via clearing, Zoe?
Okay, so we've got varied courses available to students. We've got a number of foundation degrees, and so we offer things like animal behaviour, animal therapy and welfare, animal therapy and rehabilitation. We offer early years, business management practice, and also a foundation degree in mechanical engineering. So we then offer 2 full degree qualifications, and they are in equine science and thoroughbred management. And we do offer some top-up courses that complement our foundation degree courses, and that will give you the full degree. And those are available in business and management practice, early childhood studies, animal behaviour and welfare, and animal therapy and rehabilitation. We also offer a Year 0 life sciences programme, and we offer a range of HNCs which are part-time, and they are available in electrical and electronic engineering and mechanical engineering. You wouldn't need to apply through Ucas for those particular HNCs. You can apply directly to us. So again, you can get in touch and we'll put you in touch with a tutor to have a chat about the course and the content.
Thank you, Zoe.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say we've got a lot of information on the website about all of these programs. We've got a dedicated clearing page that you can go to and find out more information.
Thank you. Quick question coming in, which I think I'll answer, Zoe, if that's okay. It's about what is a foundation degree. A foundation degree is the equivalent of the first 2 years of a full degree. So if you think of each year of a degree as a level, so year 1 is level 4, year 2 is level 5, and year 3 is level 6. The foundation degree covers year 1 and year 2. So at the end of 2 years, you end up with a level 5 qualification. What you can do with that qualification, obviously, is you can top that up to a full level 6. So as Zoe's just mentioned, we do have a number of top-up programs, but you don't necessarily have to do that top-up program within a college environment. You can also apply to one of the other universities if you want to do that final year with them rather than doing it in a college environment. So it means that you get kind of a double experience when it comes to studying at university level. So you get both that very close-knit support in a college environment, but then you can also broaden your experience by going into a university site. Zoe, I wonder if you could just let students know what the prices are of our courses, please.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So we have one of the benefits of studying with us here at the college is that our fees are lower than traditional university fees. So our Brooks programs for this academic year cost £7,570 per year. That's with the exception of the equine programs, which cost £9,250. There are slightly different and slightly higher fees for our international students, but we do find that students like to come to us because the course fees are less, which certainly helps.
Thank you, Zoe. We've just had a question in, actually, can international students apply for clearing? And I think absolutely international students can apply. Zoe, maybe you could talk a little bit about the Tier 4 process.
Absolutely. So once you've been offered a place through clearing, you'll be given an unconditional offer, which is required for visa purposes. We will get in touch with you. That will be from the admissions team, and we will just ask for a little bit more information from you. We will need evidence of your qualifications, and we'll need we'll need to see your passport. So that can be a photograph or a scan of your passport, and that gives us enough information to apply for your visa to start to study here in the UK. So yeah, just a little bit more information we might need from you.
Thank you, Zoe. I'm just going to talk a little bit about why you might choose a college environment over a university environment, and particularly Abingdon and Witney College's environment. So the difference between studying at college or university is very much around the opportunity to stay local. So whilst we obviously do welcome international applicants, if you stay local and study at one of our Abingdon or our Witney campuses, obviously for a start you're saving money because you're not having to pay those additional living costs, costs of halls, costs of food, etc. You can still stay at home, live locally, as I say, and save some money. We do have small class sizes. Our class sizes are much smaller than those offered at a university level. So for example, for our business and management courses, if you were to do that, say at Brookes University, you're looking at a cohort of around 250 students, whereas our biggest cohort for business is 30 students. So what that does is that allows us to give you excellent support, because you will really get to know your tutors and will really be able to give you support on a one-to-one basis, and quite personalised support as well. Our programmes are very flexible. Most of our degree programmes are only 1 day a week. However, they're still classed as full-time. So that 1 day is quite intense. You can be doing sort of 4 or 5 lectures in 1 day, but it does mean that you have the rest of the week to study, to work, for childcare, etc. So it is quite flexible in that respect. Another thing to think about is age doesn't matter. Our groups vary from school leavers right through to mature learners and people who want to change careers or just want to do a degree for fun. So it's quite a varied mix that we find on our programmes. As I mentioned, we do offer excellent support. We regularly receive feedback about our excellent and personalised support that we give to students. And actually, if you have a look on our website, our dedicated clearing webpage, you can see some comments there from our students. And what I will do is I will publish the website address as I'm talking, so that you can go there and have a look at exactly what it is that students are saying about us. Another thing to bear in mind is that we actually have lower tariff entry requirements than many of the universities. Now that doesn't mean that our qualifications are any less relevant or valid as degree programmes as anywhere else, but because of those small group sizes and the effect of the one-to-one support that we can give, it means that we can take those with much lower entry requirements through to actually some quite outstanding results. This year again, I'm talking about the business course because that's the one I'm quite familiar with. We had, out of 18 students, 5 of those achieved firsts, and all of the rest, bar 2, achieved a 2-1. So it is a very high performing programme, as are all of the rest of our programmes as well. People are often asking us, it's a big question we get at the moment, is obviously about COVID-19. Throughout the whole situation, we continue to teach and support our learners throughout lockdown, and just knowing again that out of those 18 students, that 5 students received first and the rest of the majority received 2-1s. They studied for the last 3 months of their programme entirely online with us, but we still managed to give them that tailored support and that dedication to making sure that they were resilient and they continue to learn and continue to be successful with us. So that's very useful. Zoe, I wonder if I could ask you a question that's just come through actually, about which universities that we partner with.
Okay. So yeah, a lot of our courses are run in partnership with Oxford Brookes University, and as Beck mentioned earlier, although you're attending Abingdon and Witney College, you do achieve an Oxford Brookes University qualification. So those are for things like the business and management, the animal therapy, the early years, but we do offer sort of digital technology courses as well in partnership with Middlesex University, and that's sort of a new addition to our programme, and I think it's just really useful to have that insight from other universities, and it sort of helps us broaden what we can offer to students locally as well.
Back of that, Zoe, does this mean that a student who is studying at the college for a qualification can also, and that is a Brookes qualification, for example, can they still go to Brookes and use the library and facilities and things like that?
Absolutely, that's one of the really nice benefits, because you get the best of both worlds, really. You're studying close to home, you study on 1 day per week, again, as Beck mentioned, but you are a student at Oxford Brookes University as well, and they've got really good facilities for the libraries, sports facilities that you can join as well, and their facilities pre-COVID are very good for a study space, lots of resources available, lots of technology available, so you do get the benefits of being with both organisations.
Thank you, Zoe. So earlier Zoe listed out quite a number of programmes that we do offer. All of those courses are available on our website, so if you wanted to check out whether or not you were suitable for a course before you actually phoned us or emailed into our clearing hotline, you can do that directly via our website, as I mentioned, and that is available. Actually, well, what I'll do is I shall type that into the announcement box so that you can have direct access to our clearing page, which also shows you all of the programs that are available as well. Bear with me. I'm just checking through the questions that we've received coming in thick and fast. Okay, so another quick question about suitability is that you have to meet the entry requirements for a programme during clearing. We can't offer you a conditional place during the clearing process. It has to be unconditional, so it is very much worth checking out our website and seeing what those entry requirements are. We have a question about entry requirements and tariff points. Tariff points, it's a Ucas thing, if you like. They call them Ucas points as well, or Ucas tariff points, or just tariff points. And it's not just us that use that term. A number of universities will ask for, rather than say, for example, a B at A level, they will ask you for a number of tariff points instead. And those are linked to qualifications that are generally studied by individuals at 16 to 18, so obviously A levels, GCSEs, etc. So if you want to work out how many tariff points you have before you actually apply to us, or actually to any other university, Ucas actually have a tariff calculator available on their website, and I've just popped that into the announcement section as well, so that you can go and have a play on that. Now, not all courses are on that calculator, so if you have done a course in the past that doesn't appear on there and you still need to know your tariff points, then you should contact your college or university directly to see if that will help towards your entry requirements, if you like. Okay, let's just have a look through. Okay, so Zoe, sorry, I'm going to answer this one as well.
That's okay, that's fine.
So we have a question about our National Student Survey score. So this year, well, I say this year, so it is in effect last year. So it's for the academic year 2019-2020. For those of you that aren't familiar with the NSS, it stands for the National Student Survey. And what it is, it's a series of 27 questions that are asked of undergraduates in their final year of study within an institution, and it covers almost all institutions in the UK that offer degree level courses. The exception to those are those very private universities such as Oxford University and Cambridge. So the results, so the questionnaire goes out in April. It's done by Ipsos Mori. It goes out to thousands and thousands of students across the UK, as I say, in a variety of different institutions. So our satisfaction rate, our overall satisfaction rate for last year has come back as 93%, which is absolutely amazing. This actually puts us in the top 10% of all degree providers in the whole of the United Kingdom, and it also places us 10 percentage points above the national average. And again, if you want to read some actual student feedback which supports that 93% student satisfaction, that is also available on our clearing page. Those are from our final year graduates that have just literally graduated this year. The National Student Survey is incredibly important because those are the grades that feed into a system called Unistats, which is also a way that you can, it's a bit like a shopping basket. You can favourite things and put them in your shopping basket, and you can therefore compare the satisfaction rates for students in different organisations as you'll put them into your shopping basket, if you like. And so you will see there that top 10% of all degree providers in the UK actually puts us in the top 50, which is quite phenomenal. And again, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we talked about small class sizes and that personalised support, and that is what our students really value. On top of that, obviously the quality of delivery, as outlined in the number of firsts that we are getting through this academic year. Zoe, can I ask you a question about student loans? Is it possible to get a student loan for our programmes?
Absolutely, yep. So you can apply for a student loan for our HE programmes, but with the exception of the HNCs. Unfortunately, they're not available for those courses. But you need to apply for finance directly from Student Finance England. And there's just a series of questions. It's intuitive, just a series of questions about the course that you're offering, that you're joining, and so that you can apply for finance there. So one of the benefits of applying for that is that the loan covers your tuition fees, and so you don't actually start paying those fees back until after you've graduated and you're earning a certain amount of money. And if you look on the Student Finance England website, it will give you a calculator of what your repayments are likely to be depending on your earnings. So there's lots of information on there that can help support your application for the loan.
Lovely, thank you. Question in about, it says, I heard you do degree apprenticeships as well. Yes, we do. So at the moment we are offering 3 degree apprenticeship routes. We have mechanical engineering, the Chartered Manager's Degree Apprenticeship, and Digital Technology Specialist Apprenticeship, either the software or the networking route. So the engineering and the Chartered Managers Apprenticeship degree programmes, those are both awarded by Oxford Brookes University. And as Zoe mentioned earlier, the Digital Technology degree apprenticeship is awarded by the University of Middlesex. Degree apprenticeship programmes aren't available via clearing because they're slightly different. Obviously, you can contact our apprenticeship team directly to discuss the options for those programmes. The key thing about degree apprenticeships is that you must have a job already. So you must be in work and your employer must support you in completing that apprenticeship. So you'll need a workplace mentor, and also there might be a fee for your employer to pay as well. So if you work for a very small organisation, there might be a small fee to pay, but if you work for a large organisation, those organisations tend to pay in what they call an apprenticeship levy, and so that money comes directly out of that pot. The good thing about a degree apprenticeship is if that's the route that you want to do, you actually end up with no student debt at the end of your course. So whereas most people walk away with, in our instance, about £22,000 worth of student debt, you walk away with zero, absolutely nothing. So it is really, really good. And what I will do is I'll post the email address of the person that you can contact to talk about degree apprenticeships in more detail into the announcement section. Okay, so we have a question about, is there a student living at the college campuses? Not on our college campuses, no. But if you're doing a programme that is shared with Oxford Brookes, or validated, I should say, by Oxford Brookes, you can apply to stay in their halls of residence. Hopefully that answers your question. So we don't actually have our own halls of residence, but our Brookes students can use Brookes Hall of Residence if they wanted to. Okay, let's have a quick look at the next one. Oh, I was putting off applying for Uniplace. I didn't think I'd get the grades, but now I'm thinking I've made a mistake. Can I still apply? Can they still apply, Zoe?
They absolutely can still apply. Yeah, we're ready and waiting on the phone at the end of the email. So as we've talked about earlier, we've got so many courses on offer, lots of different areas of interest. So yeah, definitely get in touch and apply. And you know, just be ready with your information, with your Ucas ID if you've already got it, but it's not too late to apply.
Just on the side of that as well, we've got somebody saying that they decided not to apply for university and look for a job instead, but obviously due to the situation, the jobs market isn't very good at the moment. So again, it's still not too late to apply to us. We still have places available on our programmes.
And I think, again, the nice thing is if circumstances change, because of the way our courses are structured, you're usually in for 1 day per week. And so as situations do change, hopefully, you can continue your study alongside a job, alongside the family commitments. And yeah, it's really useful.
Thank you. Again, one of the questions we get asked quite a lot, and one that's just come through, is around our COVID arrangements. As I've mentioned, we've been teaching continually throughout lockdown period. So the majority of our courses we've been delivering online, but we have had some courses that actually have still been running on our main college campuses. So right through from March, we've had some discrete groups going into, as I say, our main college campuses and studying physically on site. Throughout that whole entire time, obviously, we've been following the social distancing guidance, and that's the social distancing guidance given by the government and also from the health authority as well. We have in place the 2 metre guidance, although obviously there's some discussion about reducing potentially that down, but for now we are sticking with our 2 metre social distancing guidance. Our class sizes, or the amount of students that can go into a room at any one time, has been halved to ensure obviously we can maintain social distancing as well. For the time being, our social areas are closed. And what we intend to do is keep students in a study bubble to try and restrict transmission across the campus. Obviously, first and foremost, if we are teaching you in person and you do have symptoms of coronavirus, please do not come in. Please let us know, but please do not come into college. That is first and foremost the guidance or the advice that I would give to you. We aren't making firm decisions on how we are delivering our programmes until I think it's about another week or 2 weeks time, probably 2 weeks time at the latest. And this is obviously because the situation is continually changing. So way back in April, May time, we'd made the decision that we would teach everything online from September. Well, clearly that has changed as the situation has moved on. So some programs are currently planning to deliver partially online and partially in person, some programs wholly online and some wholly in person, but that will be reviewed at regular intervals. Ideally what we want is we want you to come in, because that's how we can give you that really personalised support. Okay, so we have a question about, are there any separate facilities for HE students from the rest of the college? Zoe, did you want to answer that one actually? Because I think you're familiar with Abingdon, aren't you? And I can answer about our Witney campus.
Absolutely. So yeah, for Abingdon, we've got a dedicated advanced skills centre that was built recently. I can't remember how long ago it was finished, but it's a really nice professional environment. It incorporates classroom facilities with IT facilities, and we host some of our sort of engineering courses in there as well. I think Beck can probably talk a little bit more about what's available in the engineering department. I think we've got a 3D printer, is that right?
We do. Well, we have more than one. We have about, I think we have 8 or 9 3D printers. Oh, wow. And interestingly, at the moment, those 3D printers are actually in the homes of our engineering staff, and they've been printing the headbands for local hospitals, etc., on those 3D printers. So they're not sat there gathering dust right now. They are actually out there being used for a very worthy cause right now.
Yeah, nice to know they're being used. But I think that the environment as a whole is just very, very professional. It's very new. We have breakout areas as well. So if you're having group discussions, you're doing group work, there's some nice comfortable sofas to sit on under normal circumstances. We have drinks facilities and vending machines available as well. So it's just a really nice environment that you not only share with your peers within your class, but you get to see people from other classes as well, and it's just a really nice environment. I think anybody coming to college might think, do I want to be in a college environment? But you get the best of both worlds. So you've got all the facilities that we have available. We do have our young people on site as well, which makes it a really vibrant place to be and a nice place to be. But when you need to focus, that we do have those dedicated spaces to sort of focus and do quiet work if we need to.
Thank you, Zoe. I think what's also important to understand is that those young people, they can't get into our higher education facilities at the Abingdon campus. They are actually, what do you call it, they're sort of the card coded thing, so you have to swipe a card to get into the building, and it's really nice because it's really quite aspirational for our younger students, because they really want to come into that building because it is a beautiful building, but they can't until they've met the entry requirements and applied for the programme. Over at our Common Lees campus, which is the other campus that we offer degree programmes on, our Common Lees campus is a 60-acre farm, if you like, so they don't have as high or as complex buildings as we do on the Abingdon campus. They're much more in keeping with the farm environment. But saying that, there is a dedicated space for our HE learners. It's called the log cabin, and it is slightly away from the rest of campus. It's just sort of over the way slightly, and again it means that it's separate from our younger students, and it is that dedicated study space purely for our higher education learners. It is a lovely space. I mean, Common Lees is a beautiful campus, beautiful farm campus as well. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick look at the questions that have come in.
Can I just mention as well, Beck, while you're taking those questions, we talked earlier about the facilities from Oxford Brookes being available and how their online resources are available. But I think it's useful to mention we have got a learning centre here in Abingdon as well. So if people do prefer to use physical books rather than online, we have got a range here in Abingdon as well. And again, quiet spaces for people to work if they need to.
Thank you. We have a question about where people go into jobs? Sorry. So the question is that they've noticed that on our website that we do a degree in the business and management practice, and they wanted to know a little bit more about the types of jobs students go into. Well, firstly, it's important that most of our students are already in employment, so when they come to us, they can apply the skills that they learn in the classroom, in their workplace. And so what tends to happen quite a lot is that students find themselves being promoted throughout the duration of their course because they are learning more and more, and they're able to offer more and more to their employer. Some interesting examples I'd like to give you about jobs that people have gone into. We had a student the year before last. She worked for Carphone Warehouse. She was one of the salespeople. She'd worked there for a number of years. While she was on our business management program, she applied for a graduate scheme with Nationwide, and she actually got onto that graduate scheme, and so now she works in the banking industry, and that is quite something, you know, for somebody to again, she had a low tariff entry as well, so to go from a low tariff entry to a relatively, without being rude, mundane role, and then go on to a graduate scheme is quite good. It's very good, in fact. I also had another student. She worked for, it was like a call centre for beauty products, and again, she'd done that for years and years, and she really truly thought that really that was all she was worth. She just wanted, well, she didn't want to spend the rest of her life in a call centre, but she'd been led to believe that that was all she could do, sort of academically. So we had a bit of a chat, and she decided to do the foundation degree because, again, it's just the 2 years, so you're not making that big 3-year commitment. At the end of the 2 years, yeah, she decided to top up to do the 3rd year as well. And actually now she's head of marketing for a rather large charity that's based in Oxford to do with the homeless. So it's absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm completely biased because I am the head of HE. However, our programs genuinely do change people's lives, and people genuinely go into bigger, better, much more interesting and varied careers than they have done in the past. So have you got anything to add on that? Because I know you're familiar with some of our students as well, and their progression.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, they our students are sometimes apprentices, sometimes they're employed already and they're doing this as a foundation degree. So yes, they generally, particularly if you're an apprentice, you tend to experience different areas of the business, and I think that gives you a really nice idea of what you might like to do. Sometimes we don't know what we want to do or what area we want to specialise in, so I think it sort of gives you the opportunity to work within different areas and focus on different areas, and then decide where you might like to specialise. I know with the business management degree, there are elements such as human resources, so it might be something that you've not considered before, and it just gives you that insight into what's involved, and could potentially, you know, just give you that idea and that light bulb moment as to what you might want to do with your career.
Thank you, Zoe. I've just thought of another example actually, and this is a student on one of our equine programs, and she actually now, she works in thoroughbred management in London, so she's working with bloodstock, which is such a high profile role, because what she is doing is tracing obviously the ancestry of thoroughbred horses and trying to trace them back to those original thoroughbred horses that they brought over from Turkey in 1700 and something. It's incredibly, you know, high profile, interesting job. So we have a question about Ucas here. So somebody has applied through Ucas, but they've used up all their choices and they're quite interested in applying to us. Absolutely, you can still apply to us. What you need to do is go back into Ucas, and if you've accepted any of those offers, you then now need to decline those offers, and then you can add other choices to your to your Ucas track record, and then that will come automatically through to us. And then, as Zoe said at the beginning, a member of her team will then take your application and forward it on to our teaching team. I think one of the key things to bear in mind, you know, if you don't meet the conditions of any of the offers that come through, when you do receive, well, for many of you, you'll be receiving your A-level results tomorrow. If you didn't meet the conditions of your offers, it's not the end of the world. This is why we have clearing. It does mean that it gives you the opportunity to actually look a bit broader on what else is out there for you. So it doesn't mean that you then don't go to university if you haven't met the conditions of your offers that you've already had. Come and have a chat with us. Drop us an email, give us a phone call, and I'm sure we'll be able to help you for one of our courses. Just going through, sorry, bear with me as I just go through questions. Yeah, question here about went to uni a couple of years ago, dropped out, too big, too many people, and I missed home. Yeah, absolutely. So coming to us, we're not big. We are a relatively small provider, but again, you do get that dual experience. So if you did want to go into the main university campus, you can do. You can go and use their library facilities, their sports facilities, everything that they have on offer, and then come back to the relative quiet and supportive environment that we have. Okay, I think that's all the questions that we've had so far. Zoe, do you have anything to add at this point?
I think, yeah, I think just get in touch if you're still not sure. I think it's a really uncertain time at the moment, with a mixture of results coming through, the uncertainty around results, the uncertainty around the COVID situation as well. It's a difficult time for everybody, so if you know what you want to do, then that's great, and we can put you in touch with the right tutors to have a chat about the courses. But if you're still not sure, we just get in touch with the admissions team anyway. We can signpost you to our careers service, and they are impartial, although they're based here in the Abingdon and the Witney campuses. They will give you the right advice for you, so it's not about just promoting Abingdon and Witney courses. It's looking at your situation, looking at your interests, and talking about the right career pathway for you. So whether you know what you want to do, whether you're not sure, just get in touch, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Lovely, thank you very much. I think what we'll do is wrap up there. We have no further questions at the moment, so if you are watching and you'd like to ask us a final question, please do. Otherwise, what I will do is start to sort of close the webinar. So thank you very much for your input, Zoe. It's been really helpful, and thank you to those of you that are watching this. Again, if you have further questions that we haven't answered for you, please do email us at inquiries@abingdon-witney.ac.uk, and we'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Again, please make sure that you go to our website to find out further information and to apply for the courses via our dedicated clearing page. And that concludes our clearing webinar. Thank you very much for attending. Goodbye.